What's up, y'all? You're watching Union Minded. I'm your host, Eric, and today we are just gonna sigh. Because there is never a day of relief in this hellscape that we are living through. And so I'm opening up a webpage to give you some information, because yet another move by the White House tears up the Constitution just a little bit more. Stamps on people's rights a little bit more, and targets over half the country. Targets over half of the country population and labels them as terrorists. So let's dive in. This is really it's not debatable anymore. Like, this experiment is free falling. This American experiment of democracy, it's free falling into collapse, and the citizenry, it's up to us to save it. Waiting for the Democratic Party to start leading the way, and I'm talking about Big D Democrat, the actual party itself, to lead the way, is a fool's errand, because they're sold out to corporations as well. The Republicans are full gone. They're just gone, and the Democratic Party is mealy mouthed. They largely have no idea how to fight back, and largely that's because they benefit from the system in place. So why fight too hard anyway? We were going to get incrementalism with them. We're getting destruction from the other side, and it seems, as a citizen who is living in this hellscape, it seems like we have nowhere to turn, because it's just the people that are going to be doing the fighting back. Like, we have no one leading the way, so it's on us, me and you. It's on us. So let's dive in. This is from the Brennan Center for Justice. Trump's orders targeting anti-fascism aim to criminalize opposition. That's all opposition. Purporting to go after domestic terrorism, the president presents an imagined left-wing conspiracy and authorizes punishments for even tenuous connections to speech the administration doesn't like. So much for your First Amendment rights. In late September, President Trump signed an executive order purporting to designate Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization. A few days later, he issued National Security Presidential Memorandum No. 7 on countering domestic terrorism and organized political violence. This analysis evaluates the claims made in these documents and their potential damaging effects, drawing on the Brennan Center's decade of work on the government's framework for responding to terrorism, both foreign and domestic. Both the order and the memo are ungrounded in fact and law. Acting on them would violate free speech rights, potentially threatening any person or group holding any one of a broad array of disfavored views with investigation and prosecution. First thing they say, no evidence of a widespread left-wing conspiracy to carry out acts of political violence. That's true. And largely, actually, the FBI years ago made a very direct statement and said extreme right-wing ideology is the biggest threat to the United States internally. Look it up. That came out a few years ago. It's probably been washed from the internet by these clowns. NSPM 7 starts by listing a mishmash of incidents, some of which are criminal and some of which constitute activity protected by the First Amendment. These include violence directed at public figures such as conservative activist Charlie Kirk, President Trump, and Justice Brett Kavanaugh, the killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, a purported 1,000% increase in attacks on U.S. immigration and customs enforcement officers, a shooting at an ICE facility, and anti-police and criminal justice protests. I don't believe a word of that 1,000% increase in attacks on U.S. immigrations. That's ridiculous. The events listed, according to NSPM 7, are not a series of isolated incidents and have not emerged organically. Rather, they are the culmination of organized campaigns. So they're just saying that acts of random violence, now that's all coordinated. Antifa is coordinating it all. And it's wild that they're continuing to paint the left as this very violent group when we know the truth is completely inversed. It's completely inverse. Largely, the violence is coming from the right-wing side of the political spectrum, folks that are filled with hate in their hearts and are actually doing hateful things. But up is down, down is up, left is right, right is left, and it's a topsy-turvy fake world when you're dealing with the most prolific con man in the history of the world, Donald J. Trump, the confidence man of all confidence men, who sells you a bridge to nowhere and got you all up in the soup. As a basic factual matter, this claim is not credible. For one thing, the list is obviously cherry-picked to highlight what the administration believes to be left-wing violence and excludes other high-profile examples of political violence that do not comport with the storyline. These include the January 6th attack on the Capitol, a 2022 mass shooting at Buffalo, New York, a 2022 mass shooting at a Buffalo, New York grocery store motivated by white supremacist beliefs, and the deadly 2025 shooting of 2 Democratic Minnesota lawmakers and their spouses. Painting this fuller picture, however, would puncture the narrative that political violence is a result of left-wing conspiracy. There's no authority to designate either Antifa or any domestic group as a terrorist organization. The administration has sought to elevate the perceived threat level from left-wing political violence by designating Antifa to be a domestic terrorist organization and instructing the Attorney General to make recommendations for other groups to be designated. The designation makes no sense, as both former FBI Director Chris Wray and the Congressional Research Service have explained Antifa is not a group or an organization, but a decentralized movement. Antifa is an idea, anti-fascist. The veterans of World War II from the U.S. military were the biggest and first real Antifa group. Moreover, the administration has no authority to designate groups as domestic terrorist organizations, as is obvious from the failure to cite a statute or constitutional provision in support of the president's action. This stands in sharp contrast to the president's authority to designate foreign terrorist organizations, as explained here. There is good reason not to extend the current foreign terrorism regime, which criminalizes the knowing provision of material support or resources to designated foreign terrorist organizations to the domestic context. The political aspect of such a designation would carry enormous First Amendment risks. Multiple disfavored viewpoints are targeted. Building on the Antifa executive order, which already targets a broad range of political speech, NSPM 7 directs federal agencies to prioritize investigations of a swath of identities and ideologies that it depicts as falling under the umbrella of self-described anti-fascism. These include anti-Americanism, anti-capitalism, and anti-Christianity, support for the overthrow of the United States government, extremism on migration, race, and gender, and hostility towards those who hold traditional American views on family, religion, and morality. What are traditional American views? Really? The breathtaking broad list easily encompasses everyone from labor organizations, which is why this is important for labor. This is why this is a union matter. Encompasses everyone from labor organizers, socialists, many libertarians, those who criticize Christianity, pro-immigration groups, anti-ICE protesters, and racial justice and transgender activists, to anyone who holds views that the administration considers to be anti-American. Under NSPM 7, the anti-fascist label can be attached to any of these types of people and groups, and many more, besides giving the government maximum flexibility to pick and choose its targets. They're going to unleash the full force of the federal government. The memorandum directs Joint Terrorism Task Forces to coordinate and supervise a comprehensive national strategy to investigate, prosecute, and disrupt entities and individuals engaged in acts of political violence and intimidation designed to suppress lawful political activity or obstruct the rule of law. Given the framing of the threat as anti-fascism, the direction to law enforcement is to focus its resources on the left-leaning organizations and people who oppose the administration's policies rather than on the types of political violence that most threaten Americans' lives at home. Again, this is all very, very bad. Existing laws give the president great latitude in combating threats to national security. NSPM 7 and the Antifa executive order are an obvious abuse of this latitude, threatening to turn the full force of the federal government to rooting out a conjured up left-wing conspiracy of political violence funded by shadowy figures. Neither the law nor the facts support this premise, and the court challenges to actions taken pursuant to these orders will likely meet with success. But in the process, many individuals and organizations will be vilified and harmed for their constitutionally protected activities, and others will be muzzled as they fear the consequences of association with or speaking up for groups that have been targeted, and we will all be less safe as law enforcement resources are diverted from real threats to imagined ones. This is the world that we live in. We have got to move to a general strike. We need to really, the mayor of Chicago called for it during the No Kings protest. We really need to move towards a general strike. We can no longer delay. We need labor to stand up. We need labor to get on the front page and start telling their members and talking to other labor groups and coordinating with each other to orchestrate and organize a general strike before it is too late. I'm tired of screaming about everything that's going on, like if there's a 5-alarm fire and nobody in a position to move a lever to try to shift power in one direction or another is doing a damn thing about it. It's very, very, very frustrating. Y'all just remember, man, the fight's not left and right. It's up and down. It's going to take solidarity to win always. Each one teach one, get out there and reach one. And remember, there could be no union without you and I front and center. Let's go. General strike now. Peace.